Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 202 of our BU 365 day challenge. To do one thing every day that continuously improves us, or one thing every day that improves us just a teeny tiny bit. Because our objective this year is to set into motion the automatic practice of doing one thing every day that makes us a better human being. Better human being as defined by you, right? It means we're moving toward what we want. And that leads to today's topic. And the card that I pulled today is I practice the science of deliberate creation. What does deliberate creation mean? What the heck is it? And how can I use it with respect to different areas and aspects of my life, as well as specifically with respect to the area of contribution this month, since we're focusing on how do we show up in the world, how do we give back, how do we contribute, how do we make the world a better place? Well, we do it on purpose, right? We can do it accidentally or automatically by just being ourselves, by being our authentic selves. Like my cup says, no one is you, and that is your superpower. If you can even see that. I can't really see it, but I know what it says because I used my magnifying glass when I bought it. So, deliberate creation. I learned about deliberate creation, well over a decade ago, probably 15, 20 plus years ago. And I heard about it inadvertently through The Secret and the Law of Attraction. The movie The Secret, I'd heard about universal laws before, but never really explored them. And The Secret was kind of my foray into, all right, I find this interesting, but there's not enough information here for me to really take action. It's like, be, do, have. You just sit on the couch and you visualize what you want and it'll show up in your life. And I'm like, nah, there's more to it than that. So that's when I started studying and looking into and learned about Abraham Hicks, universal laws, and all kinds of things that most people consider very, very woo-woo. Now, they're not woo-woo at all, but things that we don't understand, we tend to discount and not pay attention to. But the law of deliberate creation, the law of attraction, basically says what you think about, what you focus on, what you think about, whether you want it or not, is going to show up in your life. And I guarantee if you think for a couple of minutes about different things that have happened in your life that you didn't want to happen, it's easier for us to focus on the negative and focus on the pain. So think about something you didn't want to happen, and then ask yourself, what was I thinking about before that came about? And I'll give you a really personal example. I was not in a happy marriage for a long, long time. And I thought about getting divorced and thought about getting divorced and worried and fretted about and didn't want to get divorced. But here I am, divorced, because that's what I was thinking about all the time. Instead of thinking about how can I repair this relationship and how are we going to make this work. And again, it takes two people when it comes to a relationship or more. And everybody has to be committed and on board. And you can only commit 100% yourself. And if the other person doesn't do the same, the relationship is most likely doomed to fail. Unless you're, like me, willing to put up with nonsense for many, many years. But although I didn't want to get divorced in my lifetime, and I never thought that I would, I thought I'd get married once and that would be it, I created a divorce in my life. And I can pretend that I didn't, but I absolutely did by constantly thinking about and worrying about and knowing about. And lots of people planted that seed, and I let it grow and fester, right? So we deliberately create things that we think about, whether we want them or not to appear in our life. So guess what? Why would we not then intentionally, deliberately think about the things that we want? So often our attention is dragged to the things that we don't want, the things that we doubt, we fear, we worry about. But if we just put those out of our mind and focus on the outcomes and the things that we want, then our energy and our focus and our attention will go to solutions and figuring out how to create those things in our life. So this particular card, and it's pretty basic, it says, giving thought to anything is creation. Giving deliberate thought to anything is deliberate creation. So we can create, we are all always creating by default, right? Things come in and out of our life, whether we think we're thinking about them or not, just randomly. And the truth is, a lot of the times we are thinking about them on a subconscious level. If you're worried about going bankrupt, or worried about being homeless, or worried about running out of money, or worried about not having enough to eat, guess what will happen in your life? Sometime throughout your lifetime, that will show up for you. But if you keep focusing on, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money, guess what? You will never have enough money. Why? Because you'll bring circumstances and situations and things into your life that use up all your money. It's why so many people live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. They're worried about living paycheck to paycheck, so they make sure that every time they get a paycheck, every bit of that paycheck is used up. The car breaks down, there's a storm and you have to fix your house, somebody gets sick, you get sick, whatever. So deliberate creation means we are creating on purpose the things that we want in our life. And the easy trick to that is just think about the things you want. Have the things you want in your mind and on a piece of paper or a note card that you can look at every single day. If you're filling your mind, our mind can't focus on two things at once, right? It can only focus on one thing at a time. So if you're consciously, deliberately focusing on what you want, then that's what your brain is working on. If you're not, by default, if you're watching TV or you're just going about and not deliberately thinking about anything, your mind is always thinking, right? We're always on, whether we're sleeping or not, we're always on. Our brain is always functioning. So if we're not consciously giving it something to work on, our subconscious will feed it up all kinds of stuff that doesn't make any logical, reasonable sense. It just keeps us safe. Its job is just to keep us safe. And by keeping us safe, it will take the safest route, and it won't necessarily be the best thing for us. It'll just be what our subconscious and our brain considers the safest thing for us. And guess what? Safe and in our comfort zone usually isn't creating what we want. It's just giving us more of the same that we've always had. So today our action item is just to simply think about, what am I deliberately creating? What am I deliberately thinking about with respect to the area of contribution? What do I want my contribution to be? If I'm thinking about what I don't want it to be, I'm creating more of what I don't want it to be. If I choose to think about what I want it to be, I will create that in my life. If I say every day, if my goal is to give 10% of my income, my gross income, to causes and people and things that I care about, and I set that as my goal and I think about that even just once a day, before I know it, that'll be happening in my life. It will become automatic. All right, so share one thing that you want to deliberately create, and I will do the same. I haven't thought about mine yet because it's an area that I have not been really deliberately, consciously creating it. And I did it with the SOAP framework. I started to set up automatic processes and systems to create the outcome that I want in my life with respect to contribution. So that's our topic for today. Any questions, hit me up. Deliberate creation is a fascinating subject. I've read several books on it, and I'm by no means an expert, but I do love practicing every day to become a better version of myself. And one of those things is by setting systems and processes and habits in place that help me automatically, deliberately create what I want. How do I do that? By affirmations, saying affirmations, creating habits that repeat exactly what I want my life to be like, so that my default doesn't go back to things that have happened in the past and keep giving me those lessons. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Have an awesome day.